Here are the top stories for today, February 19, 2020. Malacanang expresses displeasure over the reported pastillas modus by some Bureau of Immigration personnel. A gag order against ABS-CBN is deemed necessary by Malacanang. Senate President Vicente Sotto III says he does not see the need for Congress to enact medical marijuana law. And the crew of the Chinese mining vessel in Agusan del Norte is cleared of the coronavirus disease 2019. Good day, I'm Bench Bondok. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We begin at the nation's top office. Malacanang expressed displeasure over the reported pastillas modus, or the supposed money-making scheme by some Bureau of Immigration personnel. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo vowed that the palace would look into the alleged scheme that gives Chinese nationals easy access into the country for a fee. During a Senate hearing held Monday, Senator Risa Ontiveros revealed that Chinese nationals pay 10,000 pesos as service fee or grease money to earn special treatment from BI officials when they enter the Philippines. Ontiveros dubbed the unlawful act as pastillas scheme because the money would be hidden in rolled bond paper like the wrapper for the milk candy. Panelo said the palace cannot initiate a probe into the allegation unless a formal complaint or even a simple letter is lodged before the office of the president. Panelo also assured that President Rodrigo Duterte's administration was not turning a blind eye on the so-called pastillas scheme. BI Commissioner Jaime Morente on Monday already ordered the conduct of an investigation into the alleged money-making modus. Despite the allegations hurled against BI officials and employees, Panelo said Morente still enjoys Duterte's trust and confidence. In related news, some immigration officials at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport have been relieved from their posts following the revelation of an escorting scheme for Chinese nationals. BI spokesperson Dana Sandoval said at least 5 terminal heads and travel control and enforcement unit head were affected. Sandoval, however, did not identify the involved personnel, adding that they were relieved of their posts immediately after the Senate hearing. During the hearing, Senator Risa Ontiveros revealed the modus where BI personnel at the airport allegedly received money from Chinese nationals for their seamless entry into the country. Shifting gears now, the House of Representatives on Tuesday approved on second reading a measure amending the 84-year-old Public Service Act. Under the bill, public utility refers to a person that operates, manages, and controls for public use any of the following: electricity distribution, electricity transmission, and water pipeline distribution or sewerage pipeline system. The bill also proposes that the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA Secretariat, in consultation with the Philippine Competition Commission or PCC, shall recommend to Congress the classification of public service as a public utility. Albay Representative Joey Salceda, the author, said this legislative reform will significantly contribute to increasing competition as well as protecting public interest. He said more competition among providers would result in lower prices and improved quality of basic services in the Philippines, thus creating a more competitive economy towards a better quality of life for all. Malacanang on Tuesday deemed it necessary for Solicitor General Jose Calida to file a gag order before the Supreme Court to bar parties from issuing statements on the pending co-warranty plea against the franchise of broadcasting firm ABS-CBN. Calida filed a very urgent motion for the issuance of a gag order before the High Tribunal, accusing ABS-CBN of engaging in propaganda in a clear attempt to elicit public sympathy, sway public opinion, and ultimately to influence the resolution of the case. He cited statements issued by ABS-CBN, its artists, and other personalities with regard to the co-warranto petition. Calida said ABS-CBN violates the sub judice rule, which restricts parties, witnesses, the public in general, and most especially lawyers and judges from making comments and disclosures in relation to pending cases before the courts. He said ABS-CBN's propaganda may render them liable for indirect contempt. Presidential spokesperson and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo backed Calida's move because ABS-CBN's franchise has become an emotional topic. Panelo clarified that the gag order does not apply to public officials as long as they do not go to the merits of the case. ABS-CBN's franchise is set to expire on March 30 this year. Measures are still ongoing to combat the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019 in the country. Meanwhile, the government is also looking after Filipinos who are aboard the Japanese cruise ship MV Diamond Princess. Our Janice Cavit tells us more.
Another COVID-19 patient under investigation is undergoing quarantine in Soxargen. The second PUI in the region has been admitted in an isolation facility of an undisclosed hospital and undergoing mandatory quarantine. The Filipino patient recently traveled to Hong Kong and had showed symptoms when they arrived in the country. The confirmatory test is being conducted by the DOH Research Institute for Tropical Medicine in Muntinlupa City. In Agusan del Norte, the crew of the Chinese mining vessel that anchored at the Nasipit port on February 7 has been already cleared of COVID-19. Crew members are checked a day after the 14-day mandatory quarantine and did not show any manifestation of symptoms of COVID-19, so they were allowed to sail to Tubay loading point on February 15. The number of Filipinos infected with COVID-19 on a quarantined cruise ship in Japan has climbed to 40. The Filipinos who tested positive for COVID-19 were immediately transferred to Japanese hospitals and are now undergoing treatment. There are still at least 503 remaining Filipinos inside the vessel, minus those who contracted the disease. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, Senate President Vicente Sotto III says he does not see the need for Congress to enact a medical marijuana law. And Malacanang describes as a pipe dream the claim of Communist founder Jose Maria Sison of a coup d'etat against President Duterte. These stories are next when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The first step that the DOT did was to issue, next slide please, would issue guidelines to all of our stakeholders involved in tourism enterprises, especially the frontline services, to follow basic protocols. And this was issued even before the travel restrictions were made by the national government. Next slide. And the Secretary also led leaders of the industry, CEOs and presidents of associations to map out a tactical program to respond to the effect of COVID to tourism. In fact, just last week, we called on the President himself together with the stakeholders to talk about our tactical program. And this is a snapshot of some articles that came out with the President himself helping us talk about domestic tourism as a step towards responding to the impact of COVID to Philippine tourism, and advisory also on festivals and meetings. For as long as safety protocols are in place, they can proceed with it.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. Senate President Vicente Sotto III said there is no need for Congress to legislate a law on medical marijuana. This following the announcement of the Dangerous Drugs Board that it has approved in principle a resolution authorizing the use of cannabidiol for alleviating severe forms of epilepsy. The DDB is considering the use of cannabidiol, one of the hundreds of cannabinoids found in marijuana, for the treatment of certain rare forms of epilepsy like Lennox-Gastaut and Dravet syndrome. The proposed regulation was finalized in consultation with experts from the academia, professional medical associations, Department of Health, Food and Drug Administration, and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. The regulation has supposedly been approved in principle by the DDB, but will be confirmed by the board at its next meeting. In a statement, Sotto said the DDB move proves the law being proposed in the House of Representatives is unnecessary and there are more important proposed legislations that should spend their time on. He said the use of cannabis for medical purposes is already authorized under the country's Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act, and the policy is implemented through a circular issued by the FDA. Malacanang describes as a pipe dream the claim of communist founder Jose Maria Sison that some military officials who are pro-Americans are planning to stage a coup d'etat against President Rodrigo Duterte. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo is confident that soldiers would never overthrow Duterte, saying they are 100% supportive of their commander-in-chief. Sison claims that Duterte's termination of the Visiting Forces Agreement has aroused some pro-US officers of the AFP to launch a coup d'etat against him. Panelo merely brushed aside Sison's claim, saying the abrogation of the VFA would not prompt military officials to unseat Duterte. In business, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III is optimistic that investor confidence in the Philippines would remain intact if violations cited in the co-warranty petition against ABS-CBN would be proven correct. Dominguez said the violation cited by the Office of the Solicitor General against the television network might be a constitutional violation. He said investors will interpret this as the government upholding the rule of law. The OSG, through Solicitor General Jose Calida, has asked the Supreme Court to revoke ABS-CBN's franchise, citing highly abusive practices that have gone unnoticed or were disregarded for years. ABS-CBN's franchise will expire next month, and the Senate is set to hear the broadcast company's petition to extend its 25-year franchise. Meanwhile, Internal Revenue Deputy Commissioner Arnel Gubalya said ABS-CBN has no tax liabilities to date, but its sister company, which he did not identify, has a pending case before the Court of Tax Appeals. The Department of Health will start locating active cases of polio in Central Visayas. This following the discovery of poliovirus in water samples from the Butuanon River, which flows from Cebu City to Mandaue City. DOH 7 Regional Director Dr. Jaime Bernadas said the central office has directed them to intensify active flaccid paralysis surveillance as well as the anti-polio vaccination program to prevent spread of the virus. DOH Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Verriere earlier said there is already a possibility of poliovirus infection among residents near Butuanon River. Mandaue City Mayor Jonas Cortez has declared Butuanon River and even Mahinga and Tipolo Creeks as off-limits to the locals to stop the spread of poliovirus. Bernadas suspected that someone infected with the poliovirus lives in the area and caused the contamination of the water. Meanwhile, Cebu City Mayor Edgar Labella said both the cities of Cebu and Mandaue are cleaning danger zones, rivers, and creeks, including the Butuanon River. Police seized over 100,000 pesos worth of shabu in multiple operations in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Meanwhile, a vegetable owner was arrested for trading a different set of greens. More on this and other news from the provinces from Lade Cabagani.
8 people were arrested while some 119,500 pesos worth of shabu was seized in separate anti-drug operations in the region, police officials said on Tuesday. Suspects Irene Sahibil, Norhan Ismula, and Alicia Adjoraini were arrested in a buy-bust on Tuesday at Corcuera Street, Barangay Zone 4 here. Seized from them were some 17,000 pesos worth of suspected shabu and 200 pesos marked money. Jermaine Camad and Romeo Ventura were caught with some 97,500 pesos worth of suspected shabu in Dipolog City, Zamboanga del Norte. Galvez said Ahmad Hasim Alpudi Imdani and Nazrila Jahasan yielded some 5,000 pesos worth of suspected shabu in a buy-bust in the seaside of Barangay Baliwasan. 27-year-old vegetable dealer was also arrested on Tuesday for possession of 1 kilo of dried marijuana leaves in Barangay Almaguer, North Nueva Vizcaya. Anti-drug units nabbed Jamlu D. Maguslog alias John Louis Mamaril or Awi, who has been listed as high-value target by authorities. Maguslog also yielded a hand grenade, a mobile phone, motorcycle, and assorted paraphernalia. In Coronadal City, police arrested a senior high school student for allegedly selling marijuana during a buy-bust Monday night. The suspect, identified as Julius Balolong Ong, sold a small pack of dried marijuana leaves worth 100 pesos to an agent who posed as a buyer. Ong was nabbed for the second time in the last 2 years over illegal drug-related offenses. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Late Kabagani.
More stories from the newsroom. The European Union co-funded an enrichment program designed for teachers in challenged areas. And the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas named its Gilas Pilipinas 3x3 lineup for the FIBA 3x3 Olympic qualifying tournament in Bengaluru, India. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Today, I woke up below the surface, where I learned to face my fears and go with the flow. But it's when I came to appreciate the big and the small. Made new friends from all over, and could no longer hide my true colors. That I knew I'd emerged a local.
Makalibay, no?
An enrichment program designed for teachers in challenged areas in the Philippines will be crafted in a country co-founded by the Erasmus program of the European Union. Selected teachers are attending the 5-day second transnational training of trainers meeting for the Project Fourth, or Formation of Teachers in Challenged Areas in the Philippines in Iloilo City, which will run until February 21. The project aims to create a master's program to prepare and equip teachers who are going to teach in challenged areas. The new curriculum will be a major on teaching in emerging challenged areas. It will be incorporated with core courses, electives, and research requirements of the Master of Arts in Education. The Philippines was chosen as a pilot area due to its large number of children and youth, the country's positive attitude towards learning, the quality of many of its teacher education programs, and the use of English as the medium for instruction. On to some sports action now. The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas named its Gilas Pilipinas 3x3 lineup for the FIBA 3x3 Olympic qualifying tournament in Bengaluru, India. Joshua Munzon, Alvin Pasaol, Mo Tautua, and CJ Perez will vie for one of the 3 spots on the line in the inaugural event in Tokyo, Japan from July 25 to August 2. Munzon and Pasaol are the top 2 players in the FIBA 3x3 individual men's rankings. Tautua and Perez were part of the team that won the gold medal in the first ever Southeast Asian Games 3x3 event in San Juan City last December. The SBP also named Santi Santillan and Carl Dehesa as reserves. Stefan Stojajic will be the head coach of the Gilas 3x3 squad. He and conditioning coach Darko Kersman are still monitoring the players' development during the training camp. The FIBA 3x3 OQT will run from March 18 to 22. The government has allowed the public to attend and hold big events in the country as long as health measures are followed amid the COVID-19 outbreak. In a joint statement, the Departments of Health, Interior, and Tourism assured the public that it is safe to organize and attend public gatherings, meetings, and festivals as long as all precautionary measures are observed. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat on Tuesday said the clarification bodes well with the tourism industry, particularly the meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions sector. Although the country's tourism industry is reeling from the outbreak's impact, Romulo Puyat said the safety of the public remains a priority of the government. In the joint statement, the DOH also advised the public to regularly wash hands and to seek medical attention if signs of cough, colds, sore throat, and fever appear. And before we go, the Department of Social Welfare and Development honored its partner agencies on its 69th anniversary. The agency hailed its partners for their contributions in the social development of Filipinos. Our Richie Paculba has more.
DSWD Region 10 honors partner agencies in 69th anniversary, recognizing strong linkages and connectivity in touching the lives of their beneficiaries. The Department of Social Welfare and Development Region 10 honored its partner agencies to highlight its 69th anniversary February 18 at Cagayan de Oro City. With their huge contribution to the department's success in implementing programs, projects, and services, the Armed Forces of the Philippines Task Force Bangon Marawi, Office of Civil Defense, Philippine Air Force, Philippine Navy, and Philippine National Police received DSWD Salamat Po Awards. Among the heads of offices who were recognized include Major General Franco Nemesio Gacal, ASIC Felix Castro, General Rolando Anduyan, Director Rosauro Arnel Gonzalez Jr., LTC Derek Ablog, Commodore Antonio Palces, Lieutenant Colonel Andres Soriano, Colonel Jose Maria Cuerpo II, Colonel Ferdinand Barandon, and Brigadier General Generoso Ponyo.
Being the lead agency in social protection, the DSWD has developed and implemented various initiatives that are innovative and responsive to the emerging needs of the various sectors of society towards the improved well-being and quality of life. In this way, we could achieve our goal for all Filipinos to have greater socio-economic resiliency as envisioned by the Philippine Development Plan.
For her part, Regional Director Mariflor Doliaga Libang said it is overwhelming that Filipinos felt the department's programs, projects, and services, and they were able to steer the lives of their beneficiaries, especially with the aid of other agencies.
Sa loob po ng 69 years, patuloy po nating napapatunayan na tayong lahat ay may pusong handang maglingkod ng may malasakit, kalinga, at pagmamahal. That is why there is no doubt that in the recent Pulse Asia survey, DSWD is one of the top performing agencies of our country.
With their selfless personnel and supportive partners, Libang assured the public that DSWD will continue to serve the poor, people with difficulties, and the abused.
For PNA Newsroom, Retchi Paculba, Philippine Information Agency, Cagayan de Oro.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Malacanang expresses displeasure over the reported pastillas modus by some Bureau of Immigration personnel. A gag order against ABS-CBN is deemed necessary by Malacanang. Senate President Vicente Sotto III says he does not see the need for Congress to enact medical marijuana law. And the crew of the Chinese mining vessel in Agusan del Norte is cleared of the coronavirus disease 2019. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Bench Bondok. Good evening.